This is wrestling writer and historian Brian R. Solomon, and you are listening to Stu's Wrestling Podcast. I was the 100th guest on this podcast, so I think it's definitely worth your time.
You're listening to Stu's Wrestling Podcast. It's time. Your host, Stu Palmer.
Mind if I tag along? Could you just take some time on me? I don't want to cause alarm, but I can't remember how to feel. Would you take me back? Would you take me home? I need a human touch, it's not my own.
Well, thank you very much for this year. Thank you for the past 3 years. All of you viewing, listening, however you digest Stu's Wrestling Podcast, I am very thankful. Everyone have a lovely Christmas. We'll be back in the new year after this episode 101 with Dave Faulkner. Dave has been in the business for some time. In the wrestling business, pro wrestling, he's been in it for a while. But prior to that, he did freestyle wrestling, he did grappling, he went into the MMA World, he was on the Ultimate Fighter UK versus USA in 2009 as well, but his love of wrestling has always been there. Pro wrestling, watching World of Sport, watching the great Les Kellett, just so many great stories about how he got into it, then promoting and running Superstar Pro Wrestling, Mr. J Apter as well. We get to hear about that. We've got his favourite matches, influences, Greg the Hammer Valentine, the Japanese style, you name it, and we cover a lot. We cover a lot in this episode. So, my guest for episode 101 of Stu's Wrestling Podcast, the year-ending episode, Merry Christmas, it's Dave Faulkner, Master Grappler and Pro Wrestler. Enjoy. My guest for Stu's Wrestling Podcast, episode 101, all the way from Liverpool. Actually, not too far away from here, actually. I'm in North Wales. It is Mr. Dave Faulkner, pro wrestler, grappler, MMA guy. You train Michael Bisping for the big fights, yeah. A lot of accolades. But we're here predominantly today to talk about pro wrestling, your love of pro wrestling, fan perspective, doing it, being in the business, promoting as well. Can't leave that out. How are you doing, Dave? How's things?
Absolutely fantastic. Made up we finally got on. And what a number to come on, 101.
You're 101?
Yeah, 101.
Left the 101 for you, so yeah, absolutely. Dave, I want to go right back, right, before you got into the business. As a fan, as a kid, what made you gravitate to the world of pro wrestling?
God, it was probably before your time a bit, this Stu. So back in 1982, I think I've said this on two other podcasts, and they were both legit grappling podcasts as well. And like it's the same reason I got into all the MMA and legit grappling. It was 1982. I watched World of Sport on the Saturday morning, and it was Skull Murphy beating someone up. And the fact that Skull Murphy was the bad guy, and he was just cheating all the way through it. I was just incensed. I just wanted to kill the fella. So from that day on, I thought, I'm going to train for the rest of my life. I'm going to get that guy back. So that was the start.
Who else in World of Sport? You know, it was a plethora of guys. It was a little bit before my time. I can remember it towards the back end. Obviously, you know, they shelved it. But yeah, some other guys from the World of Sport era that you liked.
Yeah, well, mine was one of my all-time favourites was Les Kellett. Now, I think if people go back and watch loads of the World of Sport now, they'll notice that a lot of the stars are like in the 50s already. They never like wrestled young. Obviously, Dynamite Kid and Davey Boy and all that wrestled as kids, and Robbie Brookside and whatnot. But yeah, they had like a lot of them had careers in freestyle wrestling anyway, and they were just working men, and then he started doing show wrestling later on, just to carry it on. Because anyone who does any type of fighting sport never wants to give it up. So that probably seemed like the next logical step to take.
Did you go to the shows in person? Did you manage to get to any of them?
Yeah, well, not the televised ones. I went to, when he done it, was like basically, it wasn't so much like World of Sport on the road, but it was their wrestlers. So don't know if it was out of season or whatever you want to call it, but the wrestlers from there used to travel around. I mean, the Kirby Suite where I lived. I seen Big Daddy live there. I mean, a number of wrestlers from World of Sport was there, but I was a Big Daddy fan at one point, as most people were back in the 80s. And yeah, I seen loads. Even seen Davey Boy there. I mean, I saw Davey Boy in his because it was linked to. It had a legendary wrestling status at one point, Kirby Suite. But I've seen Davey Boy Smith in his WWF phase when he was wider than he was tall. So yeah, listen, it was literally when it travelled. I used to watch a lot of shows in Blackpool. I think I've seen William Regal, but under a mask, and I never knew it was him because I've seen this guy wrestling under a mask, and someone told me it was most likely Stephen Regal. So I've caught loads over time. I've always travelled around the Northwest watching wrestling. I've even gone as far as Kent to watch shows. But yeah, they were always wrestlers from World of Sport were always on it, as amongst others.
It's nice to hear that you got to the shows. You know, a lot of these episodes I do, you know, we don't go that far back. It's a lot more, you know, 90s onwards. So I like the fact that, you know, World of Sport was part of your routine as a kid.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was a guy. If you people listening now, go and check it out on YouTube. It's Karl Mcgrath versus Johnny Saint. It's one of the most technical, superior, and just outright awesome matches you'll see if you're into that type of wrestling. And Karl Mcgrath actually taught me freestyle wrestling in Kirby Sports Centre. So yeah, and we're going to get him in on Superstar Pros. Possibly I can guess the spokesperson because it's part of the history. Because there's a few of the old schoolers, people much older than me, who still follow wrestling shows all around the country, and they'll know exactly who he is. But it's nice because one thing about pro wrestling fans that they do have a long memory. They remember things when they were a kid. Obviously, you've got to rediscover stuff before the time, but people have a long memory. So if they've seen one person in their life once for a wrestling show, they'll remember them as soon as they see them again. Which is fantastic.
That'll be good, that Dave having his insight. Absolutely, you know, getting him. That'll be brilliant.
Yeah, well, he's he's in Southport 6 months of the year, Karl Mcgrath, and he's in Spain for 6 months of the year. So he's done that for years. But he was also a photographer, so some of the photos he must have in his loft to be unreal. Because he used to. Now, I didn't realise that Karl Mcgrath was a pro wrestler because it was very heavy on the kayfabe. Okay, Jay was ringing me.
Okay.
He always rings me at the worst times. Jay, after that was
yeah. Business never stops for you two.
Yeah, it never stops. Both of us are very motivated, so it does work. That's why it's worked. I mean, you can put the two of us together. We look totally physically different. We talk different. There's different music and different stuff, but we've met in the wrestling and... just as motivation to do stuff is where we've hit it off.
You were saying about Karl Mcgrath before it cut out there, just about obviously, you know, what he'd have in terms of history photos and stuff like that. Yeah. And you were talking about obviously the kayfabe aspect that, you know, that was part and parcel of that era. So yeah, sorry, Dave.
No, it's all right. Well, with Karl. Karl used to also wrestle with another Scotch guy now called Finlay Buchanan, and Finlay Buchanan was in the Commonwealth Games for Greco-Roman wrestling. So I grew up with these teaching me all legit stuff. And I didn't know that they were travelling around the country. Mark Mcgrath was the mighty atom. And Karl, and he was the good guy, the face, selling all his own merch and stuff. And Finlay Buchanan was going around as corporal punishment. And not one of them let it slip. I went to the Kirby boxing gym one time. I seen them running the ropes. And I walked in because I snuck in and went... What are you doing next? He knew I wanted to be a pro wrestler. They told me, carry on being a top freestyle wrestler, top amateur wrestler, and one day you'll get approached, you'll be a good pro wrestler. So I done that. And I went 8 years unbeaten in freestyle wrestling from the age of 12 up until, I had 8 years on that, up until, yeah. So I went, and I was like, around the age of like 15, 16, I was even thinking, why am I getting approached about pro wrestling? There was just nothing about it. So I walked into the gym, like I said, the boxing gym one day. Finlay Buchanan and Karl Mcgrath running the ropes. I'm like, what's this shit? So I was like, we're just doing some mat wrestling. Do you know what I mean? I was like, that's pro wrestling. Now you just ran the ropes. They were like, yeah. So they showed me a bit then. And about Finlay Buchanan, he's the guy who broke my nose. If you can see the bend in my nose, he broke that when I was 12 with the face bar. Finlay, well, he locked me in. I broke my own nose trying to escape like an idiot. So anyway, yeah, well, Finlay went, so you want to be a pro wrestler? Now, this was in a boxing ring, by the way. It wasn't a pro wrestling ring. I never knew the difference. So he picked me up in a normal body slam and come here, take a body slam. I went, go on. Body slam, me first concussion I ever had in my life. I was just like in my lungs, I was winded, like, oh, I don't want to be a pro wrestler. So that was my introduction to it when I was about 14, 15, yeah.
Different time, totally different. It's me looking from the outside, looking in. It was a rite of passage, wasn't it, back then?
Yeah. Well, it was around 15. There's a guy called Robbie Bradshaw. Robbie was a year or two older than me, and I broke 2 of my little fingers freestyle wrestling. So I was away from the wrestling for about a year, and then I was waiting to do a comp. I hadn't done a comp then. I was probably about 12. And I seen the paper, it was the Echo or something. Guy wins silver in British from Kirby Wrestling Club. I went, whoa, someone's doing a comp. He's only a bit older than me. So I went back and started schooling them and stuff. I was like angry and then started doing me comps and whatnot. Started claiming all my gold medals and stuff then. And what was it? Me and Robbie realised that we loved pro wrestling. We were enemies at first when I came back. It was like he took me mantle in my absence, but then I reclaimed it, and then it was like, now we love people like the Ultimate Warrior, and he loved people doing backflips, loved the Rockers and stuff, and I loved all the technical wrestlers, Greg the Hammer, Valentine, Flair, Johnny Saint. It was all like the really technical wrestlers. That was what I loved, but also I watched all the Japanese stuff, and I could perform a normal, a correct German suplex. I could always do the bridge and stuff. I've always been able to do that since I was a kid. So I also loved the Japanese stuff. So that was like my style. That's the type of stuff I loved. So we clashed in that way, in a good way. And we were going to the shows that every fortnight. It was Brian Dixon was doing the All-Star Wrestling in St. George's Hall in Liverpool every fortnight. Honestly, the shows were fantastic. The venue's gigantic. And we'd turn up. We just kept pestering. Give us a trial. So they give us a trial. And we'd done a match in the ring. Let's do a match. The guy was talking about how you should go up the ring and stuff, whatever. But still not letting kayfabe die. It was kind of like, this is just for your safety. I mean, this is for your safety. It's for your safety. Now, even though we'd done a planned match, we still didn't think, we still thought professional wrestling was, I'm still thinking it was half competitive, like some of them are competitive. And so as soon as we start, we just winged it. I give him a dead hard slap in the face, but I chuckled, and he slapped me back. Robbie, oh, like that. So anyway, we hit this fucking, sorry about the language, we hit this fantastic match. Yeah. Just bleep me out, man. So we had a fantastic match. So it was like, we started a lot of freestyle. I was hitting loads of Germans, Northern Lights and stuff. And then he was hitting, going to the top, and he was doing backflips and like cross bodies and stuff. And then we done this fantastic match. And Brian Dixon came out the curtain clapping. He's like, now bear in mind, I'm 15, he's like 16, 17. And he went, absolutely fantastic, that general, absolutely. Where did you learn to wrestle? I'm like talking about Karl Mcgrath and all. Like, oh, Karl, yeah. Finlay Buchanan, oh, Finlay, yes. And he was like, because we trained on the same people, and he done all, like, he loved all his flips and stuff. So he's going, absolutely brilliant, fella. He said, for you, I pointed to Robbie. I went, the Power Rangers, this Power Rangers program's very popular now, so I'm going to put you in the red Power Ranger suit, and you're going to be the wrestling ranger. Now, that's got a lot of history to it, because even Dean Allmark had to spell as the wrestling ranger after that. So, yeah, so it's like, it's kind of like our bootleg version of Juice and Lager. That's what it is. So, yeah, it's got its own legacy. So he done that, and he went, and then he goes, and you, and he points to me. He said, bear in mind, I was a little fat midget. I could fight and I could wrestle. I had a baby face, and I was like wider than I was tall. And he said, this is Brian Dixon, you look 9 years of age, come back in about 5 years.
Oh,
and you went, flip me lid. I was like,
oh, shit. Bloody hell, Dave.
Yeah. Well, Tingo, Mason's on the show then. He's on the same age as me. And he was booked as the 15-year-old, and he went, I said, well, get your 15-year-old out here and I'll beat him up. Obviously, that's not how you do it. And he was like, but he's 6'2". He said, I don't care, I'll suplex him and all that. He said, don't. And everyone started like laughing, even Robbie. They're like, don't worry about it. It's a visual thing. I mean, if I'd done it as 15 now and come into it, they'd probably accept me because, I mean, the standards have totally dropped on how you need to look now. I know that's a bit controversial for a lot of people because I get it. I'm not body shaming people at all for 1 minute, but I mean, the standards have dropped. I mean, you can look, people don't even question how you look now. It's just, but that's all it was. It was just a thing of my time because I looked so childish in my face, and I was like basically, I looked like a stereotypical lesbian with me buzz cut and my little checkered shirt, and fat thing, very angry. Yeah, so yeah, that's. I just went away from it for a bit, and I was a bit lost, and then I ended up when I was 19. Now, bear in mind, me in wrestling, doing catch wrestling 8 years then. So when I was 19, I was all tanned. I had a fantastic physique, not a pick of fat on me. I'd won every competition I'd been in. Blonde spike here, I had the lot. I looked the part, and I went to NWA UK Amerloch up in Kent, and we stayed there for a week-long camp. And yeah, it was fantastic. It was good because like the first time I tried pro wrestling, I obviously didn't look the part. Second time I was there, we had the age range between 16 to 20, and I looked like the only one who trained. They actually did look all like kids, and they kept like when he was doing the training matches there, they kept using me to. They kept letting me win in all the matches as well because it looked the part and it was good. I won't go too much into that unless you ask me about it, but because there's a whole new chapter with regards to going to NWA UK Amerloch. But yeah, that was my first love. It was literally, only because it didn't happen over there. I mean, for whatever reason, you can quiz me about it in a minute, but I was just left in limbo. I think it was about 21 when I got offered the MMA fight then, so I just took it. And that's the only reason I ended up in MMA. Literally the only reason.
Did you feel like this is never going to happen then, going into MMA? What was your psyche? What was your psyche with the pro wrestling at that point?
No, it was good. See, what it was, I will touch upon the NWA experience. In short, I'm not a fan of bullies. I'm not saying there's bullies there. For whatever reason, anyway, check. And he done on the third or fourth day. Andre Baker, I was talking about, it was his son, yeah. So anyway, Andre Baker's son, they were all great. Andre Baker's son, don't know what his name is. He was probably a bit younger than me. I was 19. He's probably about 15, 16. So while we were all sleeping in the gym, he was putting toothpaste on people's faces by the door. So he done it once. Someone went, oh, stop that. And then he done it again. And I told him he's going to work his way around to my mate. I went, hey, you. He said, don't mind swearing. So I went, hey, you little fucker. Stop doing that. And he went, hey, it's my dad's gym. I'll do what I want. So I just gripped him by his neck and carried him downstairs. After 7:30, so I'd stay bullies, man, and I'll always rectify them. Even if I'm not in the mood, I'll always physically rectify a bully. I'm never going to change that. So I've gone down to where they were all smoking pot after 7:30. Probably everyone of them weren't smoking it, but after 7:30, you couldn't go in the cafe because it was their time. So I just kicked the door, went, whoa, I went, told the dog, put your dog on a lead. You know, what's going on? But I shit myself there. I was, oh no. I said, listen, I've paid good money to be here and I just want to impress you. I said, and he's put toothpaste on people's face and I can't sleep. So I kind of backtracked then. And I went, I said, sorry for it bursting in like that. I said, it was angering me. And he went, okay, just go upstairs, go back up to bed. So I went back up. But I thought there was going to be like a scene like that. Is it McVicker? Oh no, it's Amberg Hill or Full Metal Jacket where they all bat him with soap in a sock. I thought I'd be sleeping in my sleeping bag and all and come in with socks. And while I was lying there worrying about it, my eyes opened and it was morning. But it was a few days later, a few other things happened. I think I just came across the wrong way. Two of the girls there took a liking to me. I'm not going to say any more than that. And yeah, it was just people just weren't happy with me being like, I think they just wanted me to be a bit subservient. So they all done one day. They went, what we're going to do today, not going to do pro wrestling, we're going to do some catch wrestling. Now, obviously, they didn't know I'd done catch wrestling 8 years at the Snake Pit. So I went, they all went, okay. And I knew it was to teach me a lesson. Because, like, what they used to do, they used to stretch people. They wanted to stretch all us. They wanted to stretch me. That's what they wanted to do. So they were saying, right, there's a bit of segregation here. everyone's making little groups, but this is a team sport. It was bullshit what they were saying. He said, and the best way to become friends in an instance is, 1, go for a bevy, but loads of these are too young, so you can't do that. They said, or 2, have a good old ruckus. So he went, all right, and he weren't looking at me saying this, and I'm an expert in body language. I always have been, just a natural thing. I started to draw when I was younger, and I've just got onto stuff, and I'm just naturally observant to it. And he weren't looking at me, looking at everyone else, and I knew that when he offered someone to wrestle, there was a guy next to John Ryan bouncing up and down, but just staring at me. Gaz, curly headed, and he had one of them Team Satan tops on that were out years ago, like the American football jerseys. You get them in red and like Team 666. And he's like bouncing up and down, his curly head's going, and he's just staring at me. And then he went, go and have some catch wrestling matches. Who wants to go first? And while I was there, they called me Scouse or Traps because I had big traps. And he went, how about you, Scouse? And I just went, so I was already prepped. So I went, okay. So then I shook hands with the lad, and he shot a double on me. And I just spun around his back and choked him. And he went to me, he went, oh, God, you're good. Okay, didn't expect that. So he sat me down. He let someone else have a match. And then it was just, they didn't know what they were doing. They were rolling around. He stopped. I remember one of the guys looked like Edge, who was wrestling. And he stopped. Oh, no. Yeah, Scouse, you want another go? So they had me another go, same. I just double leg someone else then, and bad someone. It was like that for about 3 hours. So I would have a break for a bit, and then he'd let me go on. And eventually, the catch wrestlers there, all the lads who thought he'd done catch. And then he got to a certain point. It was only John Ryan and Johnny Moss left. So I thought, I was full of confidence. Then I thought, this hasn't gone the way you planned, has he? So I went, looks like it's only you 2 left now, lads. And John Ryan went, I've got a bad knee, and Johnny Moss has got a bad shoulder. I went, so I'll declare myself the winner by default then. And he went, oh, John Ryan got a cob on. Went and he had one of them phones, not the little circle, the dial. And he went and got on the phone. All right, everyone go and get a drink. And then we come back. Some guy came in called Young James, they called him. I've never seen him as a pro wrestler. I think, because they done Sambo there, I think he was the son of one of the guys who taught the Sambo there. But he had the big, long wrestling boots on, pro wrestlers, if he's a pro wrestler. So he's come in, so he brought a ringer in to wrestle me. So we started wrestling. He's kind of worked a body lock, and I've just threw him. I've done like a cross hip, like Haragoshi in judo. Big heavy throw, land on me, had all the wind leaving. And I'm trying to put him in a key lock with my leg. And his finger's creeping up into this eye, his left hand. No. Started rising in my eye. So I grabbed his hand and put it in my mouth, bit it. Put him in a key lock and tapped him. And it was just moments of silence. I even said to them, because I knew they were just trying to stretch me. I went, so are we done then? Are we done? He went, yeah, we're done. And literally, they wouldn't teach us for the next few days. Like, just get in the ring and do what you want. I thought they're gearing up to do me in here. Because they're trying to get me back for like gripping Andre Baker's lad. Well, so, I just thought it was that. And it was, I ended up getting my dad to come and get me like a day earlier. I said, Dad, I think you're going to do me in. And my dad was going, oh, you'll be all right. You just do them all in. I went, no, you don't get it. There's loads of them. So he ended up coming and picking me up. And it was then I phoned up, phoned up All Star. It was in 99. And I think might have been Brian's missus, or it was a lady. And she went, sorry, you won't be able to come up. And I went, why is that? She said, she's been blacklisted. This was back in the day when they done it. There was like 2 wrestling schools in the country, 3 maybe. And they just said, you're blacklisted. They went, you're known trouble causer. He said, known trouble causer, son. I went, whoa, I'm not, it's like, I was gutted. I was just upset. And I was lost in limbo for a few years, to be honest, with the pro wrestling. And then it was like, literally, it took off while I was in the cusp of the MMA stuff. And I think in 2008, in 2008-9, that's when I went to RWA then. And that's where I first met Sam.
Yeah, Pitbull. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and that's where we first started talking about being a tag team stuff, because we just got on. And he was doing a lot of legit wrestling there. Sam was just letting people do legit wrestling stuff. And I mean, enough people there knew already what it was about. And it was like, and it was different. Instead of getting a cob on, they were like asking to learn. So I remember even I'm trying to use all their old names now. I try and use all their old names. Oh, what was Zach? What was Gibbo called years ago? Zach Diamond. Yes. So even while he was there, we was doing like a bit of chain wrestling, and I jumped and put a flying triangle on him. And he's like, "Oh wow, that's excellent, that man!" Like doing all the mad head kicks and that. And that's how I met Gibbo as well, originally. But yeah, it was just a better. It was a better atmosphere. I know you've got to talk about it, hushed tongues now, but I'm talking about when I was there, and it was good because we even done a match where we done basically me and Sam done like a Steiner Brothers stick, and our finisher was. He was putting them on the top rope on his shoulders, and I was doing the bulldog off the top rope. And there's another one where it teams up with the Hatchet, if you remember him. I don't even know where he is now, the wrestler. And we done a great tag team match. And I remember there's a bit of footage on YouTube somewhere. If you ever ask Liam Morrissey, he's always got a link to it on a really old phone. It's like this. It's like this. I had some terribly horrible looking clotheslines. I mean, in a good way. And then I finished with the German suplex in it. So there's a little bit of footage, like before I came in. But it was like just on the cusp when I was having the break, like the MMA stuff. I was like I said, my heart weren't in it. And again, without sound like, I don't want to sound like people like hear this, and you can probably pick this quote out on its own, think, wow, what's he going on about? But MMA, I found a bit too easy. It wasn't like invigorating my mind enough. It was just like, I'd done it. It was like an office job to me. I'd done freestyle wrestling. I was serious and I had the passion for freestyle wrestling. And because of me freestyle wrestling and I boxed since I was 7, I just found like I was ahead of people because of that. And it was just, and it was like the long waiting round, like no one talking in backgrounds, and there's not many personalities in MMA as well. It's like very bored in the backstage, it's bored, and it's like you're missing a whole day. And I was a dad since I was 21, so it was like I was missing out a full day with my kids. Do you know what I mean? And it just weren't weird, especially when I first started. The money was terrible. You had to have the passion to carry on with it. And I literally only fought when I needed money anyway. I didn't per se. People always say have a career. And it hasn't really ended now. It's if I need money, like usually when it leaves Christmas. If you look, loads of my fights are in December. So it's or November. And that's all I ever done it for. But me love always was with pro wrestling. I mean, I'm in and out watching it. But from the era, I can always watch the stuff I grew up with. And like up until the 90s, up to like early 2000s. But yeah, that is like, I always stop and start. I stopped watching WWE recently again because they had like a rap group in it, and everyone should know by now I absolutely despise rap, and just despise.
Is that where you and Jay don't coagulate the rap?
Absolutely don't mix. I mean, it's coming round. Because what is, I'm not one of them who just goes, I hate it. Why? I just hate it. I'll always explain why. You know what I mean? And then when people because people have a reaction, oh, it's great. We'll say, okay, let's put some rules in place. Said, you tell me why it's good. What are we judging it by? And then we go, bum, 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 bum. And then at the end of it, you always go, well, yeah, you might be right, yeah. So there you go. I said, even if I liked it, I'd still make myself hate it. But again, we'll use that for another podcast, because that is a whole that's a whole psychological profile of a music genre. That.
Yeah, I think because you've touched upon WWE, what about how do you feel with AEW? Do you think they're a viable commodity? Shad Khan is worth 4 times as much as Vince. Now, I know they don't. It's sponsorship. I get all that. They won't use their own personal wealth if they can help it. Yeah. Do you think AEW will still be here in another decade? Let's put that in as a time frame.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully as well, because it is, when you watch it, it is now. It's a mixture. Again, it's just me. You can't watch a wrestling show and like everything in it. But there's a lot of the things I do absolutely hate now. And we're allowed to hate stuff. We're allowed to not like stuff. It's not a big deal. I know everyone wants to, people try and fit in and show that they're all liking the same thing and they're all in the same boat. But no, there's things I hate. It's like the wrestling itself. Kenny Omega is definitely one of my favourites. And I love how, I know he's kind of become like a power unto himself, but it's like Cody Rhodes, since he went there, his gimmick is better, and there's a lot more quality, and it is very making the fans happy, and the respect the talent as they should. I think it's fantastic. I think it's only going to be egos of some of the wrestlers that run it might wreck it. Thinking like along the lines with Cody Rhodes, he seems like a separate entity to the rest of the roster. It just might be something like that, but hopefully it will. I mean, as it stands, I'd say yeah. They've got to stop buying people in now because it's just going to be.
Oh, it's Dave. Yeah. You can't physically keep doing that either. It's just the roster. I've said all along. It's great the additions they've had, but it's getting a bit beyond the joke now. Because you can't. People are getting lost in the shuffle, which is obvious and evident. You Brian Cages and people are, legit, like a legit guy, and there's got to come a time where they say, right, enough's enough, but they just keep bringing people in.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem. See, that's the thing now. That's what WCW done. They brought everyone in, give them lucrative contracts, and they couldn't uphold it. It was just, that's it. They've just got to watch about doing that. I mean, doing the crossovers with other promotions is fantastic. It made me start watching TNA a little bit again, because I was watching it for a bit, and to be honest, it was just my timetable why I weren't catching it anymore. Because I've always liked TNA. I've always liked it because we got to see again. We got to see like a third rejuvenation of loads of the legends before they retired, and I loved it. Loved all the angle stuff. I loved it. It was great. Now that they've come in with them, I love anything like that cross promotions. I love seeing other promotions belts. I've always loved it on. So the Invasion angle for me was absolutely amazing. Obviously, it weren't hit to its full potential, but it's stuff like that I absolutely love. I mean, I think, we'll stay with your point. I do still think it'll be around. It'll have to take some major egotistical flare-up or something like that to wreck it. But otherwise, no, I think it will be around. It's getting the bravery and then to move to a bigger venue and stuff then and make it like... So, because as you know, during the lockdown, you can tell how much fans are important to pro wrestling. Like I was gutted for Drew McIntyre winning a belt in an empty studio. That's got to have killed it. That'll come back to him in years later and send him from. He'll be in a straitjacket. He's going like, I won my first belt in an empty. I can imagine it being. You know what I mean? So it's even now in front of a crowd, probably feels like he's never held a belt in front of a crowd. So it's it's surreal, isn't it? So I think that's all it is. So once they do these big shows, they go into a nice formula where they do big shows, and it seems like it was only ever Vince McMahon that nailed that. How you fill out a big show, but again, a lot of it's lying about having a full show, isn't it? That's part and parcel of it. You've got to lie about your numbers a little bit.
The model with the pay-per-views as well. I was corrected on it actually. I was like, why can't they do 8 a year? Because it'll probably lose its luster. Doing the 4 like the old school. They're not going to follow WWE. Oh, they were 12. I know WWE followed Bischoff's model years prior up in the pay-per-views, but I got pulled up on it, and they're right what they were saying. 4 is perfect, as you're saying, because the pay-per-views have been incredible. 5-star, aren't they? Most of the matches.
Yeah, spot on. See, it's just the only thing I just can't buy into. Do you like the way they've got loads of... It's all right. You can be small. Me, my height's only small. But I just made sure I packed on a load of muscle. That was the difference. So it's like, it used to be a gimmick being the smaller guy. It's like 1, 2, 3 kids when he came in, he beat Razor Ramon. And he was literally the only smaller guy. But what it is, it's like... I've spoken to loads of wrestlers with regard to this. I mean, you can be slim and you can be muscular and you can be fat, be tall or small, but you can't look weak. You just can't look weak. And again, it's like there's a lot of people who are into pro wrestling that only do pro wrestling. Why don't they spend a bit of time training? Because, this is where I split everyone down the middle. That's why I can't buy into Kevin Owens. I can't buy into it. And that's only because, and AEW, we've got a lot of them. So I can't, I'm never denying people's talents whatsoever, like the Young Bucks and that. I just can't buy into them just being viable power players. It's the same with Adam Cole. He's like the next degradation of wrestlers now. He's even skinnier again. It's like he's purposely tried to go even littler than naturally skinny. It's just, I just can't. I like to see it as a showpiece because you used to look at wrestlers like, whoa, look at these superheroes. I know it's coming away from it, and loads of people. It's like CM Punk's against the because I'm half in with him, half out. Now he's against the whole training thing because you don't need it's about talent, but it's not. I've always said it's a triforce. speaking, talent, and luck. That's it. And loads of people, I mean, across the board, a lot of people have agreed with me with that. And I'm not looking for people to agree with me. It's just my outlook with it. It's even like when you see me and Jay book Superstar, we do a joint booking. People have said it wouldn't work, but we've got our own systems. We're innovating how we promote. We're trying new things, totally different from TNT. I've pulled ideas from the MMA stuff. Even my show, Jigoku, is a different type of martial art. And I do a different pay scheme. And there's just, I just do it with incentive for everyone to make dough. Even though potentially, if I filled out a show without my system, I'd get twice as much money, but it's not. So everyone comes away with something.
It's interesting you saying that, Dave. I wouldn't, you know what I mean? That's good. That's good on your part. You know, you want it to succeed, don't you? The promotion.
Yeah. Well, me and Jay have got, again, because we've got different outlooks on wrestlers we like. I mean, even now, you can even ask him personally. I always like ask him why, why he looks at certain wrestlers a certain way. But it ends up being a good conversation. It's not like me berating anyone or vice versa. I just like to find out why. I like to find out people's perspective on stuff and why. And if you look at our card, you could usually tell now, if you understand that we book half each, we book half of the show each. That's what we do, like half of the card each. And it does work. Now, what I do, because he likes to move on it nice and quick, I see what he wants to do. And we're going to control different titles as well on the show. So, and it does work. It works. I don't think anyone else does this. But you can actually see my side of booking and his side of booking. You'll see why. And again, it's not like a body shame thing, but I think everyone should look the part as well. Especially if you're charging money to have pictures with kids at the end. You want like someone to look at the picture and go, "Oh God, that must be a wrestler." Not like, look at that kid sitting with another random kid. It's what I'm saying. I know, like I said, it's. I know times are different now, but I'm trying to bring a little bit of that old school mentality into it. And I still watch it. That's how I watch wrestling, because I am a little bit of a dinosaur now with it. I can't buy into the. Is it Adam Cole? Can't buy into him. I can't buy into Kevin Owens, because he's meant to be this. It'd be good if they brought him as a Mikey Whipwreck. Remember him?
I do. Of course I do. Yeah.
Because that works. That works. Like Paul Heyman booking. That works. Someone who can't possibly win. He can't win, but he's getting beat up to death, and then he hits like a move. That'd work for Kevin Owens, but to come in as a full hard case. I mean, he can have a pot belly, but he's not exactly a Tank Abbott from like UFC. Tank Abbott had big chest and big muscular arms, a big belly, and could knock people out. And he walked like he could fight and stood. Because there's something. I'm big into this while teaching me martial arts. There's intelligence split into 9 parts, and one of them is bodily kinesthetic intelligence. And that is just your natural coordination when it comes to fighting and pro wrestling and stuff like that. Some people can actually do it, some people can't, and you can't really learn it. And like the way Kevin Owens walks and that, you can tell, it's me, I can tell, not someone else. I'm really going in depth with it. But he walks like he's not tough. He walks like awkward, like a bit of a penguin. His gait and his steps little, and he moves awkward naturally when he's not actually wrestling. He's like the way he holds himself and that. And I just can't buy into it. I see right through it. But like, there's like people who've got all this and just never been given the time. And sometimes the only time I leave watching modern pro wrestling is when you've got these people who are just. It's like Robbie Roode now. It's just with the Glorious song and all that. Robert Roode, yeah. You could have made him in the title picture ages ago, and he's a good talent, and he can talk, and he looks the part and moves well, but they're just not doing anything with him.
Him and James Storm going back to beer money, like what a tag team. Like, let's have it right here. It was bangers. Yeah. It was bangers every time, wasn't it? I know you had like Motor City Machine Guns and people like that, going up against them. But yeah, I agree. They get these guys in. Oh, we'll get him away from where he is. But what are they actually endeavouring to do? They don't make him into stars because they've been stars elsewhere.
Like Scott Stein and stuff, but they look after themselves. They train hard, and then someone's getting put over. Like the Usos get put over on them, and the Usos just look like two lads who hang around Breton shops. It's just insanity. You know what I'm saying? It's just I know they're good, but people are looking at the talent side now, because you can still have wrestlers in there who are not good workers. They've done it for years, who look the part and talk good. At least they've got two, and you can put on a passable match. You can't just say just, and they look absolutely disgusting, but they wrestle great. But then, see, everything's getting out overshadowed by talent thing. And I've heard like these young lads arguing about it, or having conversations about it in these back rooms and stuff. But again, if you look in good shape, like me and Sam, before the lockdown, we were doing Dog's wife, I was going, whoa, how old are you? Oh, what do you do to train and all that? And people do get a little bit in awe when someone's in good shape. Do you know what I mean? And that should be part of it, because Karl gets a little bit, whoa, he's not normal, he's going to kill people. It's kind of like that. Sorry, I've gone on to it. I just thought that's my.
I like it. No, I like the fact that you're honest and open about it, and how you feel. That's what you're on for, you know. Absolutely. What about, before we go into Superstar and how well it's been going? Because I want to talk about being part of commentary with Angus and being around everyone. Great vibe. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on MJF? That's one I wanted to ask you about. He's like, I think it's just, he's fantastic, but it's like when I used to see, not obviously different style, but when I used to see Chris Jericho in WCW, and I just thought, when he gets to a bigger stage, and do you know what I mean? I think he was in his best shape when he was in WCW anyway. But I think, again, with MJF, I think get him on a training regime, a bit of a better training regime, get him in better shape. And I think he's fantastic, but I think it's just, there's so much more potential there for when he's a bit more older and a bit more grizzled. His face is still like baby face, isn't it? But he is. It's great. It's like it's all about reaction. It's crowd interaction, and again, that's why I'm big on physiques as well, because it's everything he does. People are buying into it. So it's just, it's one of the good parts of modern pro wrestling at the minute. MJF. I can't wait for him to pull the trigger on Wardlow. And he's got really nasty with Wardlow, and you just know it's coming. And I think that lad's another one. Physique. You could have him as the baby face. He's going to be more so as a heel, but I think you could do both. But there again, he hasn't got a voice because he's never had a voice, as the MJF's done, always done the talking. But, him and Cody in the cage in 2019, and everyone's like, what's this Wardlow about? And he acquitted himself well in the cage. He exceeded what I thought he could do. But I think it's giving the lad a voice, unless they put like a Paul Heyman with him. If he does go on his own, and they've got someone, as a mouthpiece for him, like they do with Lesnar. I'm Roman to a certain extent. I know he does get on the mic, but Heyman's there, isn't he? His insurance policy to get him over. I mean,
he has. He's gone better. I mean, loads. I think what it is now. I think again, it's another thing I've heard about, like older, not giving chances to younger. But it's the same with me with MMA. I go to MMA tomorrow and get in the ranking system. I'm totally confident that I spar at least 4 times every week still with these up-and-coming lads. Until I get knocked off the perch, I should remain there. But it's the same with pro wrestlers. So, I mean, you can't moan about chances. If you moan about... It's like, that's why I love Jordan Black, young wrestler from the British scene, because he does a bit of legit as well. And he says the reason why he does the fighting is he loves it. But you're in control. If you want to succeed, you can succeed if you want to. But like obviously people get a bit frustrated with pro wrestling, feel they're not getting bookings and that. But that's another thing why I think winning and losing does matter in pro wrestling. I'm not saying I've pulled any myself, but it's like people go on the show and go, it doesn't matter. And you just let Trump beat them on a show and whatever. And there's no one's watching anyone else's shows, and there's no continuity. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'll get someone who's a champ on one show, but he's on another 3 shows, and he's just like a jobber. I mean, they are getting given free rein in matches to do whatever they do, but then you get... See, I've been adding bits of story in Superstar as well, just little high spots and stuff. Please put this in to carry on the story. Because bear in mind, people don't realise I was writing TV for like Channel 5 now for a few years. Never got paid, and all my stuff got plagiarised. But anyway, I had to pay for
You could have had some big money there had it not been plagiarised.
Yeah. No, I done something about Dorman, and it was a totally poignant masterpiece, and they just changed it to a cheap program called Hens Behaving Badly. If you ever find out, if you ever find it, I'm on every episode as well. I think I got video for about an hour, but it was my original idea. I went for a meeting with two people and they just ruined it. It was proper poignant. It was about stereotypes and the social ideologies and where stereotypes come from about Dorman, what it's really all about, what it takes, the stresses of it, and blah, 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 and not all the same. But it was just poignant. It was just a sociological piece, if you will, and they just changed it into an absolute kids' party of a program. It was ridiculous. But I had a lot of creativity into like the stories and stuff, especially on our next show. We're going to change the polarity on a lot of the wrestlers. Change it. That's all I'm saying. Like, I think I've lost my point where I was. But anyway, it's important that the story's important. I can't think what I was originally on. I digress about 3 times, Stu, and I always do.
That's what I like about you, Dave. That's what I like about it. We go every which way, which is fine by me, absolutely. Yeah. So I think we've got to talk about Superstar because we've got show 5 coming up on the 11th, Superstarcade. But how do you feel it's gone so far? The first 4 shows. Just your thoughts, because you've been doing it with Jay. You've been booking. It's your baby. Yeah. And considering where we were, shows being delayed because of COVID, I think the fact that you ran a show in June when it was still a bit up in the air, wasn't it? But it was a success, Dave. There was still plenty of people at the Kirby Sports Bar.
The trick with that, again, this is where me and Jay meet. Like we mirror images of each other. We don't fear stuff. We're not fearful. We don't start thinking something's going to fail. We just think about just get our eyes on the prize. Just think about the goal. Go for it. And like I said, when it was all the red tape with regards to COVID, we just hammered it. Well, Jay hammered it mostly in one day. All the rigmarole, everything we need to do, and if people came in and the tests we have to do, we just got it all in place. And what it is, we don't go, I don't get a headache. Like a lot of people go, I can't be bothered doing this, because we just go, get it done. We're sorted. Now let's do the show. Let's get back and forth. We don't let anything bring us down or anything in the way. He keeps putting cryptids, very not male, very unmale quotes online, always very cryptic. And people keep thinking he's falling out with me, but he's not. I even wrote something the other day, he said it's about like working with people. I said, because the system we've got in place, we started finding out who like the prima donnas are and stuff. And what you've got to do, not just pro wrestling, but fighting, never put yourself on a pedestal and keep yourself working hard and just put a bit of footwork in. Don't expect everything just to come to you.
Well, people get found out, don't they, Dave? And if you're not down to earth,
about. I mean, I won't mention on here, but about our payment scheme, and a lot of people start to copy it now, which I expected. But like I said, we don't emulate; we just innovate, and we done it with the pay scheme. Because it's all right, people getting like whatever money for like petrol or whatever. But I said, look, do you want to be a professional wrestler? Professional means getting paid. I said, here's an opportunity to get in our show and get paid money. Now, I know he doesn't mind me saying it, but RP Davis, I went to RJ Silver though, because he's my mate. He's always on my mind, that kid. So he's my enemy though. Kayfabe is my enemy. So I've probably wrestled him most than anyone at the minute, as it stands. But RP Davis earned £175 on our show. Now, I'm not going into what the system is, but that's what he earned. And that was all his own doing. It was just our system in place. So like I said, if anyone wants to come and try and earn that, if you think you can earn that money, you come and earn it at our show. So anyway, we just, because of that system, we found out a lot of people just not willing to put the effort in. Just want to get, like, they're so happy with like just existing. They want to exist, get a little bit of a thing for the little bit of petrol money, and it's all right if they say, I'll come and wrestle for petrol money, but they go, I only do it for this. I don't want to sell tickets. Don't want to do this. Don't want to promote. Don't want to do that. And it's just, you can see now, they haven't got that zest. And what we've been left with now on our show, with everyone who wants to do that, we've just got loads of people who are in. It's like, listen, I'm going to give a shout out to Isaac North, because I said to him, I even said, look, this is another reason I said winning and losing doesn't matter. Because he go on shows, and like a true professional, he's not bothered if he puts people over. But that's what he was doing on shows all the time. He's won every match on our show. And ever since that, and we booked him strong, let him work his matches out. He wanted to be strong because his character, he put so much into it. And now he was on Rise not long. Then he's on TNT as well. He said he's getting booked stronger than them all. So it does make a difference. I don't want everyone to start being prima donnas, start saying I want to win, but it does make a difference. That's why, and again, modern wrestling, they all want clean finishes. I don't necessarily think you need clean finishes and everything. Get some count-outs, make the, because it's nothing to me now. Big E, WWE champ, just got pinned the other day in a great to see him, the two champs fighting, but it's not for a belt. It's not for any reason. He's being pinned now. He's a beatable champ. It's just, it was different back in the day. It was something if Hulk Hogan got pinned, Ultimate Warrior got pinned. It was a big deal. It was a big deal. You've got to start make hierarchy of wrestlers. I know it's nice, everyone can beat everyone, but like Roman Reigns, see, it'll be a big deal when he gets pinned now. So he's been pinned for ages. So making a big deal. That's what you've got to do. I think that's what's lacking with wrestling. So I expect to see a bit more of that on my side of the booking. But yeah, the next show, Superstar, we're having a rumble to crown our first champion. So that should be spiffing, yeah. And we're actually going to book it out. Like a lot of shows, I've done loads of rumbles, and basically he let you just run with it, and they'll just go again, ruining kayfabe here. All stories for the future shows within the rumble. That is going to be our main match. This is going to be our where Sam's going to get popcorn and cheer when your wrestler comes in, or boo when you get thrown out. It's going to have story. It's going to have loads of instructions to new factions / wrestlers in this one. So that's what we're looking at now.
It's really building.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's really building now, isn't it? No, I'm looking forward to getting on the comms with Angus for it, and yeah, I'm looking forward to see how that one plays out.
Yeah, I love it. I just thought my mate Barry does better because he's just he's not having a good time, is he? He was in that extreme field today and got covered in. I missed the match, like I didn't see it myself, but he got covered in cream by that Isaac. I mean, he's lovely out of the ring. He's a nightmare in the ring, that Isaac North, I tell you. He did get it in the plums though with a crusty baguette, so he got one shot. He got another 2 counts as well, Barry. He got another 2 count, which was good. He's happy with that, you see.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when the custard creams come out and you're on commentary and someone gets harpooned and the custard cream bloody pelted my knee underneath the commentary table. It was thrown with such ferocity.
Well, the thing is, it's just because me and Jay are in the grill position in the back. When everyone goes home, I'm the one who's got to clean it all up. So yeah, I wish you'd bring a different snack to the ring, but that's what he feels comfortable with. So there we have it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, Superstar Pro. Look forward to being at the show in a couple of weeks away now, Dave. We're nearly there, aren't we? We're nearly there. They come around. Yeah. They come around fast, don't they? So yeah, and also I just want to say the vibe as well, Dave. You know, you hear about the wrestling business and stuff. You know, I've heard from the outside, but the vibe amongst everyone's great as well. You know, it's literally, it's like I said, it's not just it's without sounding cheesy. There's no iron team. No, it is. It's the team effort. It's like we had our eyes on certain wrestlers. Jay had eyes on his. But can I just say as well, just because he's never thanked me on this, Joe, all our standout talent that got onto TNT off our show have all been the ones I've booked. Bear in mind. He's not gonna lie. He's not gonna lie that one.
You have to swallow that one.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's literally because, like I said, I was touching upon Isaac North before. I didn't say enough. What it was like, he'll be there first. He'll help build the ring. He'll help dismantle it. When we've had a few issues, we've helped fix it. He's always got tools in his van. He was cutting down a board last time. He loves it. There's a lot. They're all like that. They're literally all like that. And like I said, RP Davis came on last time, first time I spoke to him. I was meant to do something with him in Wrestle Ireland, but I ended up poisoning myself in work. So I do fire protection. I was in a loft with no air coming in chemicals for about 2 hours.
Fucking hell, Dave. Shit.
Oh, God.
Fuck me.
Listen, I would have killed me, lesser man.
Oh, my days.
Yeah, I was ill, man. I was ill, so I didn't end up getting to do it, but I met him at our show, so it was good. It's literally, like I said, the system we've got in place like the wage system and stuff, it's filtered out a lot of like egotistical behaviour, and all we've got left is people who buzz off each other's just the vibe and gimmicks, and even like me and Steve Connor talking about ideas and stuff going into the future. It's like, I don't mean like Back to the Future, not time traveling, but yeah, we talk about our gimmicks and stuff, and it's just everyone's talking about stuff, and like at the minute, I think one of my favourite wrestlers now. Everyone can call me sexist because I was never a fan of female wrestling. I mean, I was for a bit. I do like Asuka, love her style. I loved it when Alundra Blaze was in it. I loved Bull Nakano even more years ago. I love all the Japanese women wrestlers, like the majority of them. But I weren't a fan of like the WWE style. I absolutely despise Charlotte Flair, just despise her. Her ego just burst out of the TV. It's like, oh, big stare, stand up my neck, I've got to get rid of it. So, but probably one of my favourite wrestlers on the roster at the minute is Bryony Johnson. It's just, honest God, and it's not just because of the matches she's been putting on, because she works great with the girls been having on. It's the matches, because Thomas D. Connor, when we had Claw up in Wigan for a bit, because we're opening Liverpool soon, aren't we? When we had Claw up, the training matches they done were just unreal, absolutely unreal. And it was crazy when we first opened, and like some of the stuff that was going down in training matches. But yeah, it was just like the way she can totally hang with the dudes as well. It doesn't look out of place and stuff. And yeah, it's just, yeah. So it's like, can't say enough about it. It's absolutely spot on. We'll have to put in the dudes division now, start fighting for the world title after the Rumble. If she's not in it, mind you, if she's not in it.
We will soon find out. Yes, the Superstar Pro, Saturday, December the 11th. Yeah, and we're in for Zachary, aren't we? The Longmore Tavern. We're at our new venue, Dave.
Yeah, bigger now. We've had to go bigger. So we keep it. Even if you've watched the Superstar show before, we've had loads who come in. It's like, if you look like the crowd, it doesn't even look full, but we've sold every ticket out. So if everyone comes in, we couldn't have sold any more, and people turn up to the door, and we didn't have any more space, but there's a lot of space weren't taken up, but we did. On the last two shows, we sold every ticket. So we've gone bigger. Doesn't matter if it still happens, because a lot of people, especially when you're buying tickets to the wrestlers like Harpy Davis, half of the people, about 2/3, I think, couldn't make it because he's not from around here. He's not local. Yeah, we get a lot of that. So just in case, we've gone for a bigger venue, and we did buy a hot dog machine stuff to use in there. We weren't allowed to use it in Kirby, but this new venue's got its own popcorn, hot dog, ice cream facility in the corner at the venue too. We can also store our ring there now, so it's never going to be an issue. And eventually, if you want to, we can even put a bigger ring in there based on the size. So there's loads of options for it, and the people there are just open for most ideas. They've even talked about putting Jigoku on in there. So when me and Jay put our other ring up from London, we'll don't be surprised if you see some of the Jigokus in there.
Good stuff. My nephew's coming to the show to the next one, so yeah, he'll have his popcorn, I'm sure. Ideal. Get him into it a bit more. And the fact, you're right in on the action. You know what I mean? You can't buy that, can you? Yeah.
No, it's just like I say, we run it without the boarding side for us to deal with all the safeguarding issues and all that. That was because we could have started the show a few months earlier, but it was literally we just needed to get all this stuff in place. We need to find out. Obviously, I think it went a bit. I know there was a speaking out movement for a certain reason, but personally, I feel it went too far with stuff. I say I've spoken to people, I'm very open about this. It went a bit too far. I mean, at the beginning, it was totally needed and a few things, but then it went on too long, and some people nearly got in trouble who we shouldn't have really been in trouble, like misunderstandings. That's why it can be dangerous, stuff like that. But because of that, we had safeguardings for all that stuff. Obviously, with the COVID stuff, we had to be on the spot, because it's something like that. You can have the greatest show in the world, but something as simple as that can bring you down. You only need one person who's favourite pastime is moaning about something, and you can moan enough, and someone will perk their ears up, and so on. So we had to do our own investigating on everything. Every single wrestler we have on is an absolute diamond anyway. So we're in a good place. We're increasing it all the time, getting more and more people. And again, if you want to get on, you want to speak to me, come to me with some fantastic ideas, because I'm all about creative. I'm all about keeping stories. I mean, Jay likes to be show to show. I like something like the build up and the payoff. Old school way of doing it. I like that. I like building up. Even if you could have someone losing on a show, 2 shows, 3 shows, and all of a sudden, it seems like yesterday it was happening, and in a title picture, it's like I do proper build up to stuff, because I do love. It's mostly like the creative side. I love clever finishes. I love trying to keep everyone strong until it means something to make someone else look strong. It's just, it's a balancing act, and it's easy to just go, you're over him, you're over him, you're over him. But no, it's just trying to do it right. It's my first foray, is that the right word, into pro wrestling promotion, and I just want to get it done right. I want to try and do it. I'm not saying I'm going to do it better than everyone else. I just don't want it to be like that, to become like MMA was, like an office job. So I mean, it's just formulaic. Really needs going to train today.
It's good to hear, Dave. It's good to hear that you're going, the direction you're going with it, and it's refreshing, as you say. Stuff's just recycled in it. The way they do stuff. I think it's testament to you and Jay. Wanting to be different. When it's not necessarily the way promoters go these days. They just copy. Don't they?
Yeah, no, that's what it is. And again, I want to know just how they used to copy champions. Just wanted to have a belt. I mean, my mate Dan Evans is my very good friend, and they won a belt on one show. And then I think they had like 3 or 4 belts, didn't he? On different shows. But I think that's why Steve Saxon then booked them for us to go over on them on our show. He said, because even Steve Saxon was great, like great minds with pro wrestling. So he even said to me, he said, look, no, as a single competitor, said, you'll be getting booked on shows because you're MMA athletes. They'll make you look strong. They'll cheat you in a match. They'll never have you back. And I've done about 5 or 6 shows like that. I did make me look strong, let me beat them up. Didn't even ask how long I've been doing pro wrestling. Just thought I was this lughead from MMA. And go, bum, 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 win, get rolled up in a pin, and then they'll never have you back. So I thought, what's the point in that? Do you know what I mean? And most of the time I do it for free. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes they'd force like 20 quid on you. I'm okay. But like Steve Saxon, like I said, he notices patterns with other shows. And he said like Merseyside Murder Squad, proper name, not mercenary. I've still got the t-shirt, by the way. That's why I think they got them in, for us to go over them in BWP, because they had belts on everything else. That makes our belts look great, even though it's not in conjunction with the other shows. Do you get what I'm saying? It's a clever book. We're going to try and do that, Stu. We're going to try and do stuff like that. Because Jay doesn't tend to really watch other people's shows. I actually still visit other people's shows. I'm actually going to the J Fab show to see Tom, just to because they've got loads of shows every day in that Barney Rubbles outside shows every day. So I'm only picking a few bits up off them, but I talk them all. I go and see them. I was going to the Mr. Drill show in Ormskirk recently because I love going down to Ormskirk. So I go to them. I'm still a fan.
It's good, mate. No, it's good. I'd absolutely living and breathing it. And Dave, I'm going to take a full 360. We're going to go right back here, right? Favourite matches. Now, I know there could be countless. There could be hundreds. Dave. I know there will be. I've put you on the spot.
Tell me the number. I love it. Go, how many matches are we picking? How many matches?
I'll give it. Let's get it into 3. Let's get it into 3 off the top of your head. I know it's hard. I know it's hard pigeonholing.
Not one bit. 3 and 2 would be hard. One of my all-time favourite. Now, listen, I don't want to bore people. It does bore people when you talk too far back. You can pick any Ric Flair, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat match for the NWA title. Any of them. Even go into the other promotions where they were wrestling. You can pick any of them. They're absolutely clinics. They're absolute clinics of matches. So, and again, I don't want to be too formulaic as well. Pick everyone's matches because I do love the Ricky the Dragon macho match from WrestleMania 3. That is fantastic. I'll put that as 3 for now.
Okay. Yeah, it's good. It's a good. It's a yeah.
It's just the storytelling, the timing, the finish. It's fantastic. So even Jericho's story about when he was doing the house shows. He was doing the house shows with Ricky the Dragon, and he kept going over Ricky. And then he was in Ricky's hometown, and he said WrestleMania 3 finish, and he weren't meant to. He said Vince was pissed, but he said he just done WrestleMania 3 finish. He'd done it, and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat won, boss. So God, number 2. I'm gonna have to. I shouldn't really do a singles. Let me think. I'm gonna have to put some sort of. I really did like when Shawn Michaels won the Elimination Chamber, because I do love that. I love it when there's loads of people in one match. I mean, this is not with more thought. I'd change all these, but I put that as my second for now. A bit more modern. So I've got WrestleMania 3. I've got Elimination Chamber for that one. But my first one of my all-time favourite matches is WrestleMania 8. Roddy Piper and Bret the Hitman Hart.
Dave, you're talking my lingo there. You're talking my fucking right. Fucking. Do you know what? Do you know what was even more great? The match itself was superb. It was the promos beforehand. Piper, Mrs. Hart was slapping on the baloney. He's going off his tree. Bret was never the best promo. He was better when he went heel. I've jumped in here, but it was just Piper going off his head, and then sorry.
No, it was good. It was because it was just there. Piper was like, you can see, like, I just imagine Piper came in the place where Austin came in and just done that. He'd be even better. Just with how he spoke, it was great. It was just funny. And when he wrapped his belt up, he had his belt on his hand. That finish is one of my all-time favourite finishes. And talking about Austin, he got the $1 Million Dream on Bret in another match, and he done that same finish where he kicked off the turnbuckle and pinned him.
It's like the bell, he has the bell in hand going back to Piper. You're waiting for him. You're waiting for it, and they only had like, if you look bell to bell, it's about 12 minutes long. But they got everything in. They got everything in, which is testament to them too. It was just like bell to bell, 12 minutes they had, and they got it all in. They told the story, didn't they? Was Piper going to go heel again? It was just like you say, just absolutely superb what they did in 12 minutes, the time they were given.
Yeah, well, I think around that time, obviously up to his first title win, I think that was Bret Hart's best time. That up until his feud with Austin, and I think that was like his peak time, because he called the whole match, didn't he, with Davey Boy at SummerSlam, and then he had some belters with Austin. It was great. He was one of my favourites. Like, I know he's quite diverse now because of the way he does split everyone down the middle now.
Absolutely. People think
he talks about people and stuff, but yeah.
People say he's egotistical. I'm having it. He speaks his mind, he
speaks his mind, but he just loves it. He loves it more than them. He loves the sport more than them, and he comes from that era where it needs to be protected. And it was just, I get his side, I get the business side. Even a Montreal screw job, I get both sides. I understand both sides why they do it. It's not a big issue to him. It's a big issue to me. It's obviously a massive issue to both of them. But I get why he says Bret screw Bret. And I get it. I understand both sides. Just one of them things, as it happens loads in life, where both sides are correct. Both sides have got a point. So I mean, as a fan, I'm like, wah! As a kid, 17 I was. When it happens, like, fuming. But yeah, I get it. But I'm excited as well. Like, what's going on?
Absolutely. I was at SummerSlam 92 against Bulldog as well. Like, incredible. But a bit too young, Dave. A bit too young. I was six. Like, looking back, I remember just like one of my lasting memories. The match, obviously amazing, was Lennox Lewis with the bloody Union Jack coming out with Bulldog. As a kid. Dad's like, did you need to be a bit older going to that show? I said, in hindsight, Dad, yeah. I said, but I just remember all like the fireworks going off at the end and all that. Dave.
There's never been a card like that, and for the people who won as well.
And no Hogan. Obviously, I know Bulldog, they positioned Bulldog. It was always going to do the tickets. And Brett as well. Brett had the following in Europe, didn't he? But you think Hogan wasn't on it. I know we had Savage and Warrior. Flair was there in a capacity. I know he didn't have a match. But considering Hogan wasn't, and Hogan was still the man, they did well. They did well, like, selling all them tickets.
Well, I still prefer, like, when I think Savage and Warrior just worked well together all the time. People always slating, but it just worked so well together, them two. And I just think what Savage should definitely should have given some wins over Warrior, somewhere down the line.
Absolutely. Dave, I've enjoyed this. Yeah. We've had a bit of talk about Superstar and what's happening in the coming weeks. And then, going back, getting your history, I didn't realise you did wrestling, pro wrestling. I just assumed it was at your grappling, your Greco and all that, amazing, mate,
Well, Roy Ward, here's a little trinket of info. Roy Wood, who runs the Snake Pit, actually used to do pro wrestling as well. He trained all legit, but he used to do a lot of pro wrestling. And the reason what stopped him doing legit stuff is when he hurt his back getting thrown out of a rumble. There you go. So there was crossover. In the freestyle wrestling catch, there was always crossover into pro. So I was in good company.
Absolutely. My guest for episode 101, the 101, the guest from Liverpool, just up the road from me here, is Mr. Dave Faulkner, and I will see you on Saturday the 11th for the big show.
Yes, we'll do it.
Superstar Arcade. Get your tickets on Ringside World as well. Absolutely. A big thank you to Powered 4 TV for putting the episodes up on the on-demand service there. Big thank you to John Scott and Rich Crowhurst for all the support. Really appreciate it week in, week out. Nothing's ever a problem. Also, we're doing Powered 4 TV Big Fight Weekly, the MMA and boxing show with my cousin Rich and John have put on these first. It's been fantastic with that. Thank you to Chris Dutton, again, as always, for the superb editing. I couldn't do this without him. And fantastic job once again. Thank you to Mike Angus for the intro, as always, to the show. You can find the Stu's Wrestling Podcast merch at WrestleMerchCentral.com. There is loads of stuff, lots of different items that you can get. Mugs, hats, face coverings, t-shirts, hoodies, even the new varsity jacket with embroidered Stu's Wrestling Podcast logo on it. Big thank you once again to Dean and the team for listing my products on there. Great work. And we will see you soon for the next episode of Stu's Wrestling Podcast.